Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's second video doing the USA forecast. For today's second video, so as well as on Wednesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days across the United States. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended SV2 that runs to around 4 weeks. So I'll have a look at the situation in America in a moment. Just say that first video, let's say, was our 7 AM upload. We've got the Christmas update coming up for you in around half an hour's time, very shortly. And then I'll have a 10 to 14 day this afternoon. That'll include all of breaker features and bring you an update on Arctic blast potential for late November. We may have a look at 12Z very quickly tonight, I shall see. So it's going to be an epic day of content, loads of uploads and things going on. Keep checking back to the channel for all of the updates, and make sure you like, share, subscribe on the video. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, okay, early start today with USA forecast. We're beginning in the tropical Atlantic. No tropical cyclone activity is expected in the next 48 hours. We're at the end of the season now. I think you can get excuse me, you can get a very late season tropical storm and or hurricane, though. You know, late November, even into December, we have had it occasionally over the year. So we still need to keep an eye on it, but we're pretty much at the end of the season now. This is how things are currently looking in the tropical Atlantic in terms of latest GFS forecast. This is from Tropical Tidbits. This is Eastern America. Just here, we've got the Gulf of Mexico just there, Caribbean into there, and then missing the wider waters of the tropical Atlantic Ocean, of course. That's how things are currently set up. There is an area of low pressure just there, but that is not giving, you know, tropical, that does not have tropical characteristics, just an area of low pressure. Right, let's push through then and see what the latest GFS is forecasting. So we're looking rather quiet in the tropical Atlantic over the next few days. This gets us up to Saturday. Not much going on up to that point. There is an area of low pressure just here, but it's pushing out from America, but that is not a tropical feature. There is like a wave down here with that, but might trigger an area of low pressure. But up to like the weekend, early next week, doesn't look like there's much happening. We go beyond that and we look to see whether anything else emerges. We do have this area of low pressure just here. This is 27th of November, over low pressure developing just off the east coast of America then. There is another one just there. I think those are just areas of low pressure, but I don't think they will have tropical characteristics. Although that low, as it exits the eastern seaboard of America, does deepen very rapidly, actually, and goes down to 900 and once again it goes down to 976 millibars. So that becomes a very intense area of low pressure. That might be some sort of tropical feature. It does sort of emerge. There it is there on the 26th of November, Friday 26th, across southeastern America. So you know, that might be something developing there, a tropical storm or very late hurricane moving out from that southeast part of America. Very long way off though, it's 264 hours, so it probably won't even verify. Goes northwards and it gives a real battering to, you know, Newfoundland and those sort of areas again. That's something that we saw earlier on in the season, of course. Otherwise, again, not much happening really. There's like some low pressure down here across southern America, but again, that won't be a tropical feature. It'll just be low pressure digging in along a cold front, really, I would have thought. So yeah, we're pretty much at the end of the season, but that one, if that did emerge, that area of low pressure from southeastern America, if that one there did emerge, you know, just there, we would have to keep an eye on that, whether that gets characterized as or classified as a tropical storm or hurricane. But other than that, it looks like we're pretty much at the end of the season now. It has been an above average season, but a very strange season because we had an early shutdown. So the last month or so has been really quiet, actually, in what was, you know, through the earlier part of the season, very active season indeed. So it's been a rather odd, rather bizarre season this year. Right, so that's brought you up to date with that. Let's have a look at the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles for the next couple of weeks. So looking at New York City today, red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for New York. Been a very warm autumn, fall, of course, across much of northern Eastern America. It is a little bit cooler now, but the temperature is going to lift up again. over the next few hours. But as you go into the weekend, going to get cold. And it looks like the trend really is colder, doesn't it? For Eastern America, actually, and Northern America will be saying true too, I think. We've got quite a cold plunge just there. We've got another one showing up just there. That's going down to -10, 850 kPa. That's really quite impressively cold for November. And then beyond that, it just stays generally below average. So I think we are entering into a colder phase for eastern parts of America, actually, compared to very warm weather that we've had through most of this autumn. Precipitation-wise, lots of dry weather to come over the next few days, although there will be a cold front associated with this drop in temperature that's got precipitation with it. That might bring rain and or snow, of course. And then, again, when the temperature does this plummet just here, around the 24th to 25th of November, that's associated with an active area of low pressure and probably an active cold front. Again, there could be rain initially, then maybe snow as the temperature falls away. Beyond that, it looks a little bit unsettled as well through this period just here, and obviously with temperature being quite cold, there will be a risk of snow as well as we come to the end of November and into the start of December. Temperature anomalies on the 17th, 25th November are going to be a little bit on the cooler side, actually, for some of these eastern parts of America. So near normal to a little bit cooler in some places. Out west and southwest, that's where the warmest temperatures will be. Also the northwest looking a little bit cold as well. Precipitation generally dry but average through most areas. It is a little bit more unsettled from midwest and up towards the northeast. But so nearer average precipitation there. Some of that snow, of course, as we have cold air digging in from the north. But many parts of America actually looking quite dry in the week ahead. Right, let's go through the chart data then. So this is the current setup across America. We've got a ridge out west and also in the east with an area of low pressure digging in from Canada in towards these northern states. The upper air temperatures look like that. So pretty warm still across many of these southern eastern parts of America, southeastern areas. It is colder though up in the north. This area of low pressure near the Canadian border is digging in some very cold air on its western side into those northern states. Well, we run on through the rest of the week. That area of low pressure pushes eastwards across Canada and digs in colder air into the north and into the northeast. And then a ridge starts to build in its wake through the Midwest. That's how the upper air temperature looked by the end of the week. That cold air has sort of progressed through the Midwest into the east and the northeast. There could definitely be some snow in those northern and northeastern states by the end of the week. Conversely, southern, central and western states, and also the northwest actually, looking relatively mild. Into the weekend, high pressure then dominates across eastern parts of America. That's a pretty warm ridge, although I suppose by night could be some quite frosty nights actually, but it is trying to draw up warmer air again from the south. Another deep area of low pressure beginning to develop here by Sunday across the northern part of America up towards Canada. And that is pulling down some very cold air. Look at this cold pool that is digging in on the west side of that area of low pressure. This is the deepest cold pool that we've had so far through this winter, with -5, -15 Celsius iceberg digging in across those far northern states. That major area of low pressure then sweeps across southern Canada, and there's an active cold front that's pushing eastwards with that as well. So the position of cold front is just there, moving into eastern America. Ahead of that, it's quite warm, of course, drawing up the air from south, but behind it, very cold air is digging in from Canada, and there'd be, widespread snow across much of Midwest at this point early next week. Widespread heavy snow with this very, very cold northerly blast coming in from Canada. Notice up the eastern seaboard, it's relatively mild. That area of low pressure then pushes in towards the northeast, and that does pull those very cold winds in from the north into northern and eastern America. So we see those really cold upper air temperatures digging all the way down into far southeast, actually going down to North Virginia, for example. So yeah, it's going to get a lot colder through the early part of next week. North Carolina, I should say, and South Carolina too, actually. Going to get a lot colder through the early part of next week through many of these central, northern and eastern parts of America. Meanwhile, out west, it remains relatively mild through there, with pretty mild upper air temperatures. Of course, in the desert states like Arizona, because of the time of year, we will be starting to get some very cold nights going. Through to the middle part of next week, that area of low pressure takes its snow away up into Canada. Heights begin to rise across America, so generally, probably drying out through the course of next week, but probably staying quite cold, actually, through most of next week in many of these midwestern and eastern parts of America. This is an early blast of winter, which is quite surprising after such a warm autumn so far. By the time we get through to weekend, still pretty cold in this northeastern corner. Midwest is starting to warm up a little bit, and as going towards the end of November, then it starts to turn milder with this ridge of high pressure beginning to bring up some milder air from the south. So the cold air retreats back to Canada by the beginning of December, and most parts of America by then looking relatively mild. Of course, there could be frost at that area of high pressure, but the real Arctic, Canadian Arctic cold and snow, that's retreated back northwards by the beginning of December for the time being. Probably not for long, though. Another low is developing there in the northeast by the time you get through to the end of the GFS run, which again is pulling down some cold air from the north. Notice the western states, so do look relatively mild. So the GFS is looking there. So definite taste of winter coming up next week. A real blast of cold air for GFS. Let's have a look at ECM. Euro looks like that. So Tuesday again, or tomorrow I should say, bringing up Thursday, bringing up wind from the south into these eastern states. This area of low pressure bringing colder air in from Canada into the northern states. That low pressure pushes across some parts of Canada and pulls in cold air into Midwest and eventually into the east through the end of week. Then this high pressure builds, which is quite a cold ridge initially. That'll settle things down over the weekend after some end-of-week snowfalls. But, under that area of high pressure, it will be turning a little bit milder, but also could be a bit frosty. Then early next week, you get this next area of low pressure digging in from Canada. That's pulling in those very cold Arctic winds into Midwest, and that area of low pressure transfers through southern parts of Canada, taking the active cold from eastwards, heavy rain, turning to snow as this cold northerly wind digs in, very cold northerly wind digs in the wake of that cold front. There's the upper air temperatures for Tuesday through Midwest looking very cold, and that very cold air is transferring eastwards towards the east states. Meanwhile, out west, it's looking mainly quite warm and pretty dry, I think, for those western states. Through to the middle and second half of next week, we have the cold air in the northeast. Surges are really quite warm upper air temperatures, though, through the central states of America. And then as we come towards the end of the ECM run, we find, again, it looks pretty cold for those northern northeastern states under an area of high pressure. So we probably maintain quite cold air, actually, in the Midwest and through to the east throughout most of next week, with, of course, an ongoing risk of snow in some places. Although, as that ridge builds in, I think we will see the weather, settling down, but there will still be snow. At least snow showers, snow flurries around in places. But early next week, it looks like could be some proper blizzards for those Midwestern and northeastern states, and really quite a cold blast coming up. Right, let's have a look at set best, and then we're done. These are 500 millibar heights broken down to week periods. The first week period takes from 16th to 22nd of November. The coming week has this ridge in the southeast, low pressure through the north. This is below, but digging in the cold air, of course, into those northern parts of America. We go through to week 2, which is going to be 23rd, 29th of November. And we look like that. So a ridge is into the southeastern part of America, low pressure through here, a ridge over there, and a ridge over there. I think the upshot is that would probably bring the jet stream through rather like that. This ridge should keep a lot of dry weather going. Southeast part of America, though. Week 3 is the 30th of November, 6th of December. Trough of low pressure then is through the east. The ridge is out west. So that suggests the coldest air there is through those eastern parts of America. And then we go through to week 4, which is the 7th, 13th of December. It looks like that. High pressure reaching from the Pacific through those central parts of America. Low pressure through here will bring cold air into the northwest. And there's probably going to be a trough of low pressure down here as well, I would have thought. Right, so temperature anomalies look like that. Many parts of America are quite mild in weekend, 16th, 22nd of November, particularly the southern states. It is going colder, though, in the north through Midwest towards the northeast. That's looking to week 2, which is 23rd to 29th of November. So we've got this very cold, massive air over Canada that's trying to dig in. Pretty mild both of those western states and in the south too. This area just here, I reckon, could be quite a bit colder than that is suggesting. I think that's going too mild for the Midwest and the east and the northeast there. Week 3 is the 30th of November to 6th of December. Looking really mild out west, colder in these eastern parts of America. That's we've got that trough in the east, of course. And then by the time we get through to week 4, all parts of the states are looking pretty mild. This is the 7th, 13th of December. Mild from the west coast right way over to the east coast. I reckon, though, that the CFS is overdoing the temperatures there, particularly for the east and the northeast in weeks 1 and 2. I think it'll be colder than that. So we'll see. Precipitation anomalies lastly, and week 1 looking like this, dry in these eastern southeastern states, a little bit more unsettled up north. Go through to week 2, which is the 23rd to 29th of November. Looks quite wet then across these eastern southern parts of America. Moving through to week 3, relatively dry across most parts of states there. And then finally week 4, which is 7th to 13th of December, looks dry in the south, wet in the west, and potentially a little bit in the northeast too. Right, so that's it for the USA forecast for this week. The main focus, of course, is in the next few days. So it is going to be turning colder across the Midwest and into the east and into the northeast. Going to have like first push of cold air coming up later on this week and into the weekend through the Midwest and into the northeast. And then early next week, a second shot of cold air pushing in from Canada, and that could be really cold. That one could, bring the first proper blizzards and whatnot to the Midwest and some parts of the northeast as well. Probably retreating back to Canada with that cold and snow by the beginning of December as things get milder, although, of course, that is a very long way off. Right, so that's USA forecast for this week. We'll do it all over again next Wednesday, of course. We're going to have the SIP Christmas update coming for you imminently. Any moment that will appear on the channel. And after that, we've got a 10 to 14 day early this afternoon, followed by perhaps a 12Z quick look this evening, around 7, half 7, something like that. But for this USA forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.